Roar.
Shh, roar.
Hey guys, I'm back. As you can see, it's not 1 in the morning this time, but I don't really trust myself to wait until tomorrow so I can do it while it's light enough to use my usual spot, though then again, since I've only done 4 of these, I guess I don't really have a usual spot yet. But whatever, let's just get into this. Now, but before I get to any questions, I actually need to issue a correction for a couple weeks ago. I was talking about getting a bunch of fruit on sale, and I talked about getting that my local grocery store got it from the big grocery store a ways away, and they get overstocked and send it to us. That's actually not what happens. That information came from I was just doing my grocery shopping, and I overheard a guy who works there talking to somebody else and saying things about Safeway and our store and the nearby hospital, and how he had just gotten a bunch of this cheap fruit. And just hearing that in passing, I took that to mean that all of these places are getting it from overstock in the supermarket. But that is not what happened. What he was saying was all of those places were getting this cheap produce from the same place. Apparently there's this huge vegetable fruit market in San Francisco, so he and whoever from Safeway all go to that place to get the stuff that's on a good price because it just came into season. So that's what actually happens. I was wrong, and they might do some of the stuff I said. They might send out overstock to homeless shelters or food pantries or whatnot, but that wasn't what the guy was saying. I was wrong. Mea culpa. Now, on to the questions you guys had. I'll start with a couple of quick ones. First, do I do any slow cooker recipes? Yes. At some point, I will show you slow cooker recipes. I don't do it that often, but I do have some stuff that I want to show you guys. It's pretty good. I like it. Next question. How did I get the mango to the point where I could just scoop it out of the skin like that? I forgot. I guess I never showed that part. Well, I have footage of it, so here it is. You cut on either side of the pit so that you get these two sections, these avocado-like sections, as you put it, and then you have just the pit in the middle, surrounded by a ring of flesh. And you can also just take the skin, peel the skin off of that centerpiece, and scoop it out the same way you do with the others. Or you can cut it off with a knife, whichever is easier for you. The third one is a little more involved, so I wanted to take a little more time for it. The question is, why is it that the cheap processed crap is so much cheaper than healthy things? Why are healthy things so expensive? Well, the thing is, that's not necessarily true. It seems like it is, but that's not really the case because, well, first of all, as was also pointed out in the comments, it depends on what's in season right now. The longer they have to store it and keep it viable, then the more expensive it's going to be. So that's one thing. But the other thing is, in the long run, it really isn't cheaper to buy the processed stuff, because what you're really paying for with the processed stuff is the process, frankly. It's, you're paying for all the machinery and factory work and all the things that went into making it ready to eat right now, as opposed to any actual food in the stuff. Because here's another little secret. It's partly not even food. And I'm not just talking about the preservative chemicals. I mean, they stretch the dough and such with things like cellulose, aka wood pulp. Yeah, look it up, guys. Pay attention on the package. You'll find cellulose. It's wood pulp. Undigestible, but it takes up space. So they can use even less of the, actual nutritive ingredients. It costs almost nothing, so that's how they can make it, so cheap. But here's the thing. If you're not paying for any of that process, any of those chemicals, any of the factory stuff, then it actually does end up being cheaper overall, pound for pound. if you buy, a box of plain macaroni noodles, or a bag of plain rice, that's going to last you a lot longer than the pre-made mac and cheese or the Uncle Ben's or whatever it is. And the part of the reason for that is, since part of it is not actually food, therefore it just passes straight through you, and even the stuff that is actual food is simplified so much as to be almost sugar already, and some of it is just sugar, and so it just passes through your system like that. Therefore you need to eat more of it sooner, so you end up spending more because you're buying more of the cheap stuff. So overall, it really isn't. It really isn't cheaper to go with the processed stuff. Though there are other factors at play. Like, I'm lucky enough to live in California, where a lot of fruits and vegetables are grown. The further that your produce has to travel, then yes, it's going to get more expensive. And also, there probably is a certain point when you're in actual poverty, that you really cannot pay for a large amount of simple things, because you just don't, I mentioned it's for in the long run, is what I keep saying. It is cheaper, but when you're living paycheck to paycheck, you really can't think about the long run. So yeah, if you only have that, like $5 to spend on your whole meal, then you might have to go with the, one step thing that, that ends up being, cumulatively more expensive. But if you only have $5, that's the only thing you can get, because to get, a substantial amount of the other stuff, because it does tend to come in larger amounts, it's going to be more money than you actually have at that exact moment. And especially since people who do have that little income are also, they also live in the poorest neighborhoods, which are furthest away from where they take all the good food. All the produce ends up in the more affluent neighborhood, where they can buy the stuff freely. When you're poor, you're living way out of the way, and you might have to drive an extra 10 minutes or however long just to get to some proper vegetables. And when you're already working, because chances are, if you're in that level of poverty, you're already working one or more minimum wage jobs, so you might not have the time or energy to go out of your way to get the food and then come back and take the time and effort it takes to make something from simple ingredients. So yes, there are reasons that you would need to rely on processed food. They're very, unfortunately, that's how it is. But for a lot of people, if you can at all afford it, if you're not limited to $5 per meal, it really can be a lot better and a lot cheaper to buy the simple ingredients and learn how to make them yourself. It'll make you healthier, for one thing, and it will be more sustainable long term. Now, I wanted to save that one for last because it, obviously it took up a whole lot longer. That's more than half the video. So that's all I have this week. Thanks for keeping the questions coming. I love talking with you guys. I guess that's about it. I will see you guys on Friday.